the NFC South. We're going to lead things off with none other than the Carolina Panthers, starting off with Ted McMillan, Nick Scoreton, Prince, not even going to pronounce that, Trevor Etienne, Lathan Ransom, and so on. Kelcey, how do we feel about the Carolina Panthers?
And here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the worst draft grade of my entire draft. It is a big fat F. Wow. Ted McMillan, what a reach in that situation. Didn't make sense for the Panthers at all. I question everything there. Nick Scoreton is a good pick. I'm not going to take that away from them. But beyond Nick Scoreton, I have questions every step of the way. Trevor Etienne, Lathan Ransom, Cam Jackson, which probably Cam Jackson might be the better of those picks down at the bottom. But I think overall for me, outside of Nick Scoreton, I'm not very happy. As much as I love Jimmy Horn Jr., he's an undrafted free agent in my book. So, yeah, there were better opportunities for the Panthers, but yeah, this is just a big fat F for me.
I love it when we are in the exact opposite range because I'm going to give them a solid B. I like Ted McMillan, and the more I think about it, the more I kind of like him too. He can move. He's big. He's hard to tackle. You can move him all over the field. He pairs well with Jalen Coker, so you have to give Bryce Young anything. Ted McMillan does a good job reading and sitting down in zones. Nick Scoreton coming into the year was arguably a top 7 pick. Unfortunately, the way A&M plays defense, it does not allow their defensive edges to accumulate stats. So that's why him and Shamar Stewart on paper don't look great. You're kind of projecting, but Scoreton was awesome at Purdue. Princely, awesome. Trevor Etienne, kind of weird, but Chuba Hubbard needs a backup, and I'm worried Jonathan Brooks' knees are going to continue to shatter. And I'm still curious with Rico Dowdle. We'll see. Cam Jackson, really like pick. I like Jimmy Horn Jr. You need to get weapons. Considering the entire NFL said they didn't love Shedeur, that means he put up those stats somehow. That means it was throwing to Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn. So I like him a little bit, especially in the 6th round. With a pedigree like that, it's worth a chance that he can make the roster. So I'm going to give them a B. I think it was a solid pick. Was Tet maybe a little rich there? Sure. But I mean, you were going to hope someone trades up and then maybe get him later. See, if you have a guy like that, you take him there. A lot of people said Drake London was a reach at pick number 7 for Atlanta, and he's turned out okay. So Tet could be 85% of that. They'll be okay.
There was just so much a better opportunity to get a receiver there that was better. I look at Golden as being the number 1 option there for them specifically. I don't know. Didn't love it at all.
You know what? That's all good because we had the exact same picks. This will get boring. So we're now going to move on from the Carolina Panthers. Let's go to a team that's a catastrophe. And we're going to go with the New Orleans Saints right now.
Oh.
Starting off with Kelvin Banks, followed by Tyler Shuck, Vernon Bro, Jonas Sanker, Danny Sutzman, Quincy Riley, Devin Neal, so on and so forth. Kelcey, how do we feel about the Saints?
Kellen Moore. I love you, buddy. Wish you were still coaching the Cowboys. I'm going to skip a lot of these picks, and I'm going to talk about Danny Stutzman for a second. Love the pick. Absolutely do love it. Love Devin Neal as picks. I love the value they got where they got him. I don't mind Kelvin Banks. I don't think he was the better offensive tackle in that situation, but I don't mind it. But my God, Tyler Shook in the 2nd round, Vernon Broughton in the 3rd round, Jonas Sanker. What were we doing here, Kellen? I don't know. So for that reason, I'm going to continue the trend of a bad grade here, and somehow I went from the good guy to the bad guy real quick, I guess. I'm giving a big fat D to the Saints. So who got that D?
Well, we're not going to answer that one, but I do like the Kelvin Banks pick because I think he could play guard or tackle for them. They need offensive linemen. You can never go wrong building that back-to-back years. Yeah, like you said, Devin Neal's kind of nice. You pair him with Alvin Kamara. Tyler Shook in the top 40 picks of the NFL draft at pick number 40. The man's 26 years old. He was in the same high school class as Trevor Lawrence. Sorry, 25 years old. He's had 3 season-ending injuries, and he doesn't have the Michael Penix production to be like, well, maybe. Like, I just don't get it. I get it if you don't want Shedeur. This isn't like a Shedeur, Mile Kiper rant. We're not going that far.
No,
but
we're not going that far.
Like, were you expecting Jackson Dart to fall there? That's kind of silly at that point. I just don't get it. So you know what? We're gonna give them the double D's on this one. I don't love what they did. Kelvin Banks is nice. Devin Neal's solid, but there's just not a lot that I love about this one. This felt like they're either hoping that Derek Carr is okay or they just panicked. I guess I don't really know. But we're gonna move off of this mess and get out of the Bayou. We're gonna head over to the Atlanta Falcons, who did not surprise everybody with a quarterback pick this year, but they did surprise when they trade up. After getting Jalen Walker at 15, they traded back up to get James Pierce. Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, and Jack Nelson. So a short but efficient draft.
Yeah, I think the reason I don't have them higher in my grade, and I'm going to say this, is I don't think they had enough picks. But with the picks that you made, I think you did a great job, Atlanta, especially your first 3 picks, because I don't mind Xavier Watts there in the 3rd round at pick 32. I think 96 to 100 is a perfect spot for him. I'm going to give him a B just because you didn't have a lot of picks. And so it was either an A or a B. If you had 2 more picks and you continue to do what you did, then I think you get an A. But I think with 5 picks, you did as good as you could with those 5 picks. And obviously, if you didn't watch the draft show, we had our good friend Morgan Mann on the show. And we saw his reaction live. It was a great reaction to show exactly how good of a job they did this time. Not surprising anybody with a Michael Penix pick this year. So yeah, give me the B for the Falcons.
This is weird because I actually like every single pick on the board. I like Jalen Walker to them. I like James Pierce to them. I like Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, Jack Nelson. I like every pick, but I'm going to give them a C. And the reasoning for that is going to be, I don't love that you gave up next year's one to go get James Pierce there. I don't love that it didn't feel like the right time or the right player at the time to double dip like that to that extreme. Like if you could have just traded up and maybe swapped us, but you didn't have a second round really to give up either, as you can see, or if you did, it was part of that trade. So I like Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman. I think that's adding a lot of depth around Jesse Bates, but also just James Pierce doesn't feel like someone you trade back into the first round and give up a future first round pick for. I think there was a chance he could have slid to the second round the way things were going. So I don't know. That's interesting. So I'm going to give them a C. It was fine. Jalen Walker at 15 was a really good pick. We'll see if he's used more as an edge, an off-ball linebacker, or just like a Swiss Army knife. So we'll see how they decide to use him. But we'll head now to Tampa Bay, the Bake Show. Starting things off with Emeka Ibuka, followed by Benjamin Morris and Jacob Parrish. Tez Johnson rounding things out. Kelcey, I know you like this. I know you like this draft.
Yeah, I love Emeka in the first round as being that number 2 right now to Mike Evans, the walking 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown guy. And Mike Evans, well, he's not going to be there forever. And Emeka is going to be stepping right up. And, we talked about this a little bit on the draft show. How many times are we going to keep seeing an Ohio State receiver get drafted in the first round? Because right now we're on 5-6 straight years of it. So don't be surprised to see it for another 2 at the minimum. Probably another 3 if, Brian Hartline keeps having his way. I love that. I love the Eli Roberts pick for SMU and the Tez Johnson pick. I thought they were ranked low, like they got drafted lower than they were ranked. So I thought those are absolutely great picks. So with all that said, I'm going to give them a B+, so a B overall.
Emeka Ibuka is awesome, and I think he's going to fill that Chris Godwin role. He just makes plays. Tez Johnson could take the top off. I love the Benjamin Morris picks. That's arguably CB1 in the draft if he doesn't have 2 hip surgeries. And if he is healthy, if they get him on the field and he's good to go, let's say like what they had with Miles Jack, where there's worry about his injury, but then once he got on the field, is dynamic. I think we're going to see a lot of that Benjamin Morrison. So you got 2 first-round picks that he's healthy. So for that, I'm going to give him a B. The only reason it's not an A is because there's a reason he was there. So we're going to go with a B, though. So that's it. It's a really good draft by Tampa Bay, who's kind of turned into the kings of the NFC South and looks like they're going to continue on that trajectory at this rate. But